This morning, I'm joined by the Director for Media and Alumni Affairs, Higher Education Transformation Network, Mr. Hendrick Makanela, joins us in studio now. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you for joining us here on ANN7. First and foremost, congratulations are in order for the class of 2017. But tell us a little bit about your organization, Higher Education Transformation Network. What exactly is it that you guys do?
Well, the Higher Education Transformation Network, it's an organization of graduates, from all corners of the land, which seeks to ensure that, we primarily look at the disadvantaged students who are coming, especially the matriculants, who are going into different universities and colleges or TVET colleges, to make sure that, their lives become easier. They study in environments that are conducive and, they don't face any form of exclusions, be it academic or financial exclusions. Our role, of course, is to make sure that we assist them here and there, and also, those who may want to apply and do not know where to go and so on and so forth, we do help them at that stage.
Now, like you've mentioned, you've worked extensively with students, with matriculants who have now finished grade 12. Looking at your past experiences, what would you say are some of those burning issues or burning challenges that matriculants face as soon as they make that transition from high school to tertiary education?
Well, one of the key challenges is matriculants who did not know in advance what they want to study. You'll find that there's a child who finishes matric, and immediately after finishing matric, they start to now look at the careers. But of course, you also have those who have applied to various institutions of higher learning. You'll find that a matriculant, for example, wanted to be a doctor. He wanted to study MBCHB, only to find that they do not meet the requirements. And, they often find themselves stranded, not knowing what to do. You also have another category of students who wanted to go to university, who had already applied to study at the university. And the results come out and the student is not allowed to do a bachelor's. He or she can only do a higher certificate in that regard. And you find that they become demoralized. That is where we come in to come and indicate that, it's not the end of the road. There are also institutions that can accommodate them, TVET colleges, because you'll recall that historically, the majority of our people have not really taken TVET colleges serious. Each and every parent or the majority of parents believe that a university degree is the one that can take the child or make the life of a child much better, unlike TVET colleges. But of course, there are many other courses that can be done at TVET colleges as well. This is what the message that we inculcate as and when we interact with our matriculants.
Mr. Makanela, interesting topic that you raised, and that's when, a child finishes matric and they transitioning to university, you don't always know which career path you want to take, and that's one of the challenges that you have mentioned. What advice do you then have for these students who are a little bit lost after matric and not sure what they want to study, whether they want to take some time off or whether they want to go straight into tertiary? What's your advice to those students?
Well, our advice is that students should not rush into decision making, especially during a short period of time. Because if you look at now, the results have been issued today, and most institutions will be beginning with their academic year towards the end of the month or in February, the beginning latest. Now, our advice is that students should not be rushed, especially by friends. You'll find that as and when they go to various institutions of higher learning, they get into some, mob psychology of some sort, whereby students end up going to register at the faculty that he or she did not want. And such decisions which are taken rashly, they can backfire in the long run, because, after 5 years or 6 years, students begins to realize that, the career that I've chosen is not the one that I really wanted. And, they end up being frustrated. And even though they get into employment, you'll find that they are not productive as such, because they've done a course that they did not really want to do.
Let's chat a little bit about accessibility in tertiary education. We heard the Minister of Higher Education and Training yesterday state that a free education program will be rolled out for the poor and the working class over the next 5 years. President Jacob Zuma also spoke of free education for the poor and the working class. But how do you see this panning out? And let's talk about accessibility to tertiary education, specifically for poorer South Africans.
Well, we believe that to date, government has made significant strides to make sure that students who come from poor backgrounds do access our universities. You'll recall that this began in the early 90s, just towards the new dispensation, where the doors of learning, particularly in historically white institutions, began to be open for the vast majority of our people. And we really want to say that the announcement by the president is a very good one, and the minister as well, in terms of the facing it in. Our understanding now is that those students who were already in the system, remember, there are those who have been using NSFAS before. So obviously they are covered as far as we know. And the challenge may be those students who had not yet been accepted in institutions of higher learning. That is why we called upon the state, particularly the higher education department, DHED, to make sure that they expand, or they allow such students who have not been able to apply as of now to come and apply as well, especially those who come from rural areas, because like I already indicated, most of them, will be waiting for their results, which are being issued today, and they may want to go into institutions of higher learning because of this free education. So we're saying that even though we've noted the statement by the University of South Africa that they don't want to allow walk-ins, but the reality of the matter is that walk-ins generally have always been there, although they were at a minimal pace. And we really want to appeal to them to ensure that they do allow such students, especially those who come from poor backgrounds, to try and accommodate them in various institutions of higher learning.
But then the issue of capacity comes into play then. Does South Africa have enough tertiary institutions to accommodate the vast amount of students we are seeing leaving high school and leaving matric? Also, is there enough variety for the type of students that South Africa has? I mean, not everyone is an academic. Some people are more creative thinkers and so forth. Do we have a vast enough variety of tertiary institutions to cater to our students?
Well, to answer your question, the capacity of our institutions of higher learning is not enough to accommodate the number of learners that are matriculating every year. And I think this is something that government has already started to address. You'll recall that in the past we had about 24 universities. I think that with the introduction of 2 more universities, the University of Mpumalanga as well as Solplac University, we are beginning to address the shortage of institutions of higher learning. And we believe that government should be able to do more to make sure that in the long run, we expand our capacity in as far as higher education institutions are concerned, so that we are able to accommodate the vast majority of our people, because we do have many people now. Look, the DBE, for example, it's ensuring that they minimize the dropout rates. In the past, it was not a problem, but I'm talking about institutions of higher learning. Now that learners are given space to continue doing matric in 2 years, for example, we'll see more and more people matriculating, so which means we'll have a problem, influx of our students in higher education.
Hopefully those issues can be ironed out and the government can find a way forward. But Mr. Makanela, thank you very much for your time this morning. We appreciate you talking to us. That was the Director for Media and Alumni Affairs, the Higher Education Transformation Network, Mr. Hendrick Makanela, joining us in studio, just talking about the future of Matric Class for 2017 and the various options they have going forward. But we are going to take a quick break for news and updates on the other side. Stay with us.